2nd, and I'm going to work. So you can join just this stream or the stream on YouTube and either watch what I'm working on or work on your stuff, and we will work alongside each other. I will be more active on YouTube, responding to chat messages than here because it's more convenient and I'm on the keyboard already, right? So I will repeat that. I'm going to implement an iOS application and a Vapor backend and try to implement a chat using both technologies, right? So we can send messages using Websockets back and forth. Let's see. I might need another Fritz Coke. This one is almost empty. By the way, can you hear me loud and clear? And also the picture, the image, is it of good quality? I hope so. So let me see if I'm live. Oh yeah, I'm live on YouTube and we have already 4. Great. I don't know about Electron.js. Cool. Let me also play some music for myself. Let's go here. And I think I have it in the download folder. God damn it. So downloads and Zelda. Where do we have it? Over there. Perfect. There we go. All set. All set. Okay, so this is charged as well. I look tired. I am tired, but I wouldn't. Do I look tired? For some reason I'm tired. I don't know why. I made sure I sleep enough last night. Maybe I slept too many hours. Anyway, let me for sure show you what I got already. Let's put this one away. We don't need that. So if I run the backend right now, this is the Vapor 4 API template. We don't care about everything that comes with it. We could even delete that, but I want to keep it for now because we don't know whether we will need some of these things as an example to implement stuff. So point upwards, not needed for now. So what we do is we call it Toki because we have the app is called Toki as well, but it's nowhere written here. So you see here we have 2 applications, Toki and Toki, iOS and Vapor. This is the iOS version, Toki, and this is the Vapor version, Toki. I totally missed your comments here because I got stuck on my comment way above, so I didn't see comments were coming in. I just have the iPhone here being live and then also on YouTube. So we have this WebSocket defined at root Toki. This is our local host, and then we say, hey, by the way, when something connects to here, right, to /Toki, not HTTP, but actually WS, then that is going to work. And if something is sending in a text, right, if on that WebSocket something is sending in a text, well, then print that text into the console log. And that's what we're doing here. This is all we do here. So we are having a session, and then we are creating a WebSocket task based on the URL, which is WS, and then the local host and then it's going to be Toki. And that's gonna match with this. So the connection is going to be established, and then we can use this struct to create a message, and then use the WebSocket task to send a message. And if there's an error, we will print it, but if there's no error, then this will just go through and should arrive in the console here. So we can just run that, nothing will happen because I've implemented in a way. All this one does is actually setting up this button in style. This is just a style. And then it has, when you click on it, then please execute that function, which basically connects and sends the message, right? So if I tap here, and now we see, hey, listen arrived. All right, so that's working, that's fine. So we have a WebSocket connection, we can just communicate to the backend. The goal now is, or the next step at least, is, oh yeah, I'm working from home. And the goal now is to think of how we can actually create, say, a chat room. So when we connect to the WebSocket, we want to have the connection stored somewhere. And whenever a new connection is created, we want to have that one stored as well. But we also want to be able to differentiate between both connections. So we could use actually a username on connecting. I'm gonna have to see how this is gonna work. So then we can, when we write messages, connect the message to the username and let it be displayed somewhere, or maybe even fire back here, and we can just have two people talk to each other, right, in one chat room. That is the ultimate goal. And we also have a time limitation of 5 hours, sort of. Socket.io. Oh no, this is, it has to be Vapor, it has to be iOS, it has to be Swift all the way. That's for that. If you want to develop iOS and Android at once, I don't have any recommendation because there's React Native, there's Flutter, there's Xamarin, there's so much. At this point, for me, everything is just the same because it's cross-platform. And if you don't go native, go for whatever makes fun for you or does. Okay, let me see. All right, so we could actually send from here, instead of just text, we could send something like, say, username, and then say Toki, and then message. Let's see if that, oh wait a second, I think it's message like this. Let's see. I know. All right. Let's do it like that. So we get this here, right? We have this text. What we could do is we could try. I'm not sure if this is the right. We have text, right? If we decode, let's see. this is going to be string. So data based on a string. I think there is an initializer for it. Let's see. Base 64 encoded string. No. Data using string encoding UTF. Let's put it that way, and then use decodable protocol. Let's see if that works out. I don't know. So struct username is going to be this is going to be decodable. Yeah, decodable. String and then also message. This has to match with what we are sending here, username and message, and then the types have to match as well. And then let's see, user self from the data JSON encoder. User is equal to, I think we will go with that. Else, let's just print and let us know that this has thrown. Couldn't. Let's put it that way. And if it worked, then we should be able to have access to. Oh, one sec. This has to be okay. So then that way, and then also this is going to no, this is already user, and then we have username. Let's see if this one works out. This is just like blindly yeah, sorry, my fault. So again, this is a session where I mainly focus on coding more than on actually interacting. Guys, I'm sorry if I'm not interacting with you so much on YouTube as well as on Instagram, because I'm kind of in a time, I have a pressure of finishing it within 5 hours, but also I wanted to share with you just me working because I see this can be potentially motivational. Okay, let's see. It worked. Awesome. Okay, it's easy enough. Easy enough. So that means now we can send JSON and we can send usernames and envy messages. So what we can do now is instead of printing the string itself, we really have type safe the value out of the whatever we're sending, right? So then that means we can actually access the username and the user message. Both is type safe, both is decoded. And so what we can do is let me see. So this is okay. It's going to be interesting. All right. So let's create, I'm having an example for an older implementation for how to create a room. Let's also print the message, right? So once we connect, Toki says, hey, listen. Can I become front developer from scratch studying on my own at home? Absolutely, yes. This is how I have learned iOS development at home. I have learned Vapor at home completely on my own. And now I do freelance projects or even apply to a different agency to get the job based on my knowledge that I learned in my free time. Software engineering, you don't need anyone. You can do it all on your own. You really can. Like half a year, dive in, get your job done. Muhammad, I'm really happy to hear that. You got this. Okay, so what I want to do now is we got the roots. We will implement everything inside one file for implementing it from scratch, so we can just see, okay, are things working out and I don't have to jump back and forth. So let's create a class called room here and have a dictionary of connections that is of type string for the username and WebSocket, right? There should be WebSocket. And what is this? I would like to see the type of it. It's WebSocket, okay. So then this should just work out fine. Empty dictionary. Let's do it like this. And then we will have username. So when we're sending a message so the goal here is, not a fan of the Apple keyboard, but I got used to typing on it. Hey, the new MacBook Pro 16-inch got released today, I think, and it has the scissor keyboard again, with double the travel of the butterfly keyboard that is built into the MacBooks. So that means we're looking into a bright future again for MacBooks. After 3 years, or how long was it? 2016, they introduced the butterfly chaos. So message string and Interesting. That makes sense. So when a user, so what we can do is here. Why is this going to be so weird? Oh, because we want to send it as. That makes sense. Okay, cool. I like it. I like that. Okay, so this is only decodable. Let's do it. Let's have it codable so we can encode and decode. So we can decode it. So we can create an object based on JSON, but we can also create a JSON based on an object, right? So what we want to do here is inside the room, when someone sends a message inside the chat room, we want to send to all connections that message, except for the one who has sent the message himself. That means we want to have the message and username. We want to create a new message then, right? Why am I calling it user? Let's just call it message. Let's just call it message. It makes more sense to me. But also, no, it doesn't make sense. This is going to be user, and then we want to store this user. And then whenever he's, okay, so user and message is going to look alike. but that's fine. Because we want to know who is writing and what he's writing. Oh, what we can do is we could actually log in, use user just for logging in. Basically logging in, just creating the connection and storing it. And then afterwards, whenever he's writing something, let's do it this way. Should work out. I hope this is going to work out straightforward as I think, because then we won't have any issues and things are super easy and we're done in no time. Okay, so that means we want to create a message based on the user. So we know the username, we know the message, and then also we want to have the JSON, so then message, JSON encoder, encode. We have that. That's throwing, right? Okay. So we have the JSON. That's that. And now for every user and WebSocket in connections, this is a tuple. If the user, oh, we're not storing user, we're just storing username. If the username is equal, unequal, the let's call it user and then username, because we have it doubled over there. That should make sense. So we have the connections based on the username and WebSocket, Toki and, for example, Kato. And then when Toki sends a message, it loops through Toki and Kato. For if Toki is sending a message, that means at the position of Toki, unequal Toki is not true, and therefore it should continue because it's false. For Toki unequal Kato, it's true, and so then it will continue the code. And what we want to do is we want to use the WebSocket and then send a so what can we send? We can send text, we can send, interesting, we cannot send anything codable. Why is text a collection? Data protocol raw. We might want to send it on. Okay, I will have to see whether we will use a event loop, because else we might run into some issues later on, but that's for later to solve. What is this collection? A sequence whose elements can be traversed multiple times. Yeah, makes sense. But why is that? Let me see. It's a protocol, and that Can it be that a string conforms to that? I think so. But okay, let's see. Let's see if we can just send a message like this. Message to expect argument UI int. No. Let's have a look at. Now, what am I doing? Discord. Can you give the short introduction? Into what? Short introduction about what you are doing. Oh, yeah, sure. So I am right now implementing a chat room using Swift for the iOS app and Swift for the backend that is actually managing the chat room and also the sending the message sending. So what I want to do is I want to have two simulators running the app, and you can enter a username and then connect to the backend, and then you are in a chat room and you can start writing a message, and the other simulator would receive that message as well, and vice versa. Everything implemented in Swift, everything using nothing but Vapor for backend and iOS for frontend. And it's on YouTube. Like, I'm streaming this right now on YouTube. What are you building? Oh, I just explained that. Perfect. What do you think about Flutter? It's great. It's there. I don't ever code. I will never ever code in Flutter. But it's one more language people can like and have fun with, so that's good. I'm a fan of native. All the way. So, why would this be UI int 8 and can we convert it? Does it make sense? Oh yeah, I wanted to check Discord and check so interesting. Why would this work? Would this work? This is going to work. However, message is a string as well, and this is not working. Doesn't make sense to me. It's a string as well. Oh, one sec. I'm doing something wrong. Of course. So why are we having message in the first place? We wanted to, oh yeah, that's because of the initial thought of having, of sending JSON instead. So that should work now because we're having the username, the message, the checking and sending. Okay, cool. So that is for the room to send a message. Fair enough. Okay. Now, let's see. Where's this coming from? Oh, okay. All right, so when we get a text in, right, what we want to do is we want to say, we want to have up here the room. Let's just comment this one out. Okay, and what we want to have here is we want to say room connections. The user's username is equal to the WebSocket connection, so we have it stored. Then, now that we have this room, we can say room send the message from user's username and user. Oh yeah, right, because he's right, because we just stored. Yeah, we don't need that anymore. That was a different thought process. So now we are, yeah. Let's see, let's run. It throws and it's not allowed to throw. And it actually doesn't throw anymore. Hey. Oh yeah. This way. Question, I'm building an Android project and I might need to make an iOS version. Now, how hard would it be for me since I have no experience in iOS dev? It depends on the project. Are you building Facebook or are you building a to-do list? Is it a to-do list? Then you would probably need a month to get into and just implement it the right way, depending on the design. If it's a super complex to-do list, then maybe even multiple months. But again, also it depends on how much experience you have in the past of coding, because a lot of things you will just learn faster since all the concepts are the same. But if all the concepts are still new to you, then you will need longer. So there are so many factors. You can't just I can't estimate it in any way. Like there's no way. Food delivery app. It depends on how many years you have experience, and then how familiar are you with concepts of coding, and then how fast can you adapt a new coding language. Because normally, for me, after 5-6 years, I would just get into a new coding language and start building stuff quicker than I would 3 years ago. Way quicker. So I think the question, I don't even know what the answer would help you with, actually. I love Swift, the programming language, and Apple just, so for me, iOS just works. There's nothing that works better, no operating system that fits my requirements, right? So this is a personal thing. Everyone has has their requirements towards devices, and there's no device on the market that checks off the most amount of all my requirements. Then, like, only iOS does that. Only Apple does that. So I have a list of 10 requirements. Apple checks 8 off. Everyone else checks like 7, 6, only one thing off. And so I pick the one that checks off the most requirements. And that's always being Apple products since I turned 18. Before I was always using Windows because I didn't know about them. Once I tried out Mac, I never switched back. And then I had an iPhone, I never switched back. I just, yeah, that's that. Streaming, how I implement a chat application for iOS using Swift for frontend iOS and backend Vapor for the server-side part of it. So what we're doing here right now is we're storing the connection to the username, and then we're sending the message back to all the connections. And that means on this side here, we need to also have an implementation for receiving messages. And let's just see if I can pull up. All right, so what we want to do is write a function for receiving a message. And then apparently you can do that, and you can receive messages, but it will just end receiving or stop receiving unless you are recursively calling the function to again and again and again receive messages. And then I'm wondering, you should actually do that in the background, but also in the front, like on the main thread. Is it handled by itself? Because else I will just block the input. So let's just get that. So we have this task. What is this returning? It's returning that. So let's have it global. So we're basically using the global one. This should still work. Let's see. Am I printing somewhere to actually see it works? Okay, let's print the username again and the user message again. Connect. And yes, still working. That's good. Now we can use the WebSocket task to receive. And what we get is a message and an error. Why is the closing bracket not happening? So message and error. Oh, it's a result. But why would this one complain? Oh, no way. What am I doing? Of course. So in case of, we'll have the error and then just print something went wrong, and then let's just see what this error is. Localized description. And in case of success, we should have the message and say message has been this one, and I want to actually, I wonder because let's go here. Let's go in here because this one is having the result, and then we have the message struct, and this is either data or string. Okay, got you. So then, yeah. In case of data, let's see. We will have the data. Print. I wonder if this will just convert it by itself. In case of string, we will have the message. Oh, that means if we can receive data, we can actually receive JSON. That's fine. That's a way of optimizing stuff. Okay, anyway, message. Okay, so now what am I doing? Okay. Yeah, why are you not closing? Is it my fault? Did I change something? Code folding, ribbon line, whatnot, editing. Yeah, automatically do that. Let's see. Let's see if this is actually happening now. No, it's not. All right. Fair enough. Covers known cases, but your old message may have additional unknown values. Okay, that's fine for now. So now when we connect, we should not receive anything in the console because we are the same. We're just one user. Right, because it's not sending to us. Oh yeah, by the way, I have, of course, closed the connection wrongly. Okay, again, see, nothing is happening. We do get it. So now when I change the room implementation to say, when I change the room implementation to not skip on when it's the same user and then rerun, I should receive the message that I've sent. And I'm not. And then let's debug why. Of course I'm not. I'm never calling receive message. Classic. Classic. And it's unsigned integer, not an UI and unsigned. Yeah. JSON encoder is producing data which you can cast to UI and send it over to WebSocket. Hey, thanks very much, Marco, for chiming in and helping out. I just read all your messages. Yeah, I mean, I can also cover the unknown case, but for now, I just want to see like the fastest way to get it work, and then afterwards fix all the edge cases and implement it cleaner, obviously, because we're also completely in a mess over here and over there, right? Oh, let me restart the music because we are already 40 minutes in. So I will definitely end the stream latest at 2 o'clock. On Instagram, this will end earlier because we can only stream an hour, right? Gamer or coder? Coder. Definitely coder. Empty. Okay. Okay, let's just get rid of this one. What is it? Default. Default, print, unknown case, whatever. Run. Am I disconnecting here? Not complaining? Good. So, I'm never calling that. And once I receive, at the end of receiving, I will just call it again. So it recursively calls. I'm not sure about the self in here. Yeah, I know. I mean, we've done that, right? Hey Martin, will you let the stream on your channel? Yes, 24 hours. Streams are always up for 24 hours. How can I see this display? YouTube. On YouTube. So once we are, let's just say set up button. Once we click that, we're starting, we're sending. Once we send, let's just say we receive from here. I don't know if this works out. Again, first time. Nothing's happening. Oh yeah, backend is not running. Makes sense. Something went wrong. There was a bad response from the server. Was there? Are we in an endless? Hey, we got the message. So it works. So it works to a certain degree. It does work. It just like we get the message back, and I could have displayed it in the chat, but I'm wondering how to implement it in a way so we're not recursively calling and having, because I want to have the WebSocket purpose is to have the connection open all the way, all the time, so you don't request new information, you just get it. And here I'm actually doing that. I'm requesting new information by saying, hey, receive. Right? I could say something like, hey, we will implement a timeout every 5 seconds. We're going to receive something from a server. But if there is nothing, it seems like it will print something went wrong because the server is not sending anything, right? So if I say connect, nothing happens. Oh yeah, one sec. Let's clean that. Nothing happens. And what we can do instead is say, I wonder if I would implement another button. So setup, let's just rename this one into setup send button. Let's also call it send message, and then have another button that is actually a receive button just for now, right? Receive, and then we don't want it to be centered, we actually want it to be top aligned, constrained by or to the send button, bottom anchor with a constant of, say, a distance of 15, right? So top, we have the width, we have receive, everything is called send button, but we don't want that. Adding, positioning, styling, and then we want the receive message to be called. And then this one has to be Objective-C. Run. Okay, yeah, backend, I'm sorry. I haven't implemented on close. I think that's the issue that we run into all the time. I didn't want to get into that just for testing out. Oh yeah, and I have to set up the receive button as well. Set up receive button. Let's go. So we got the send and receive. Oh yeah. Let's also have it. That makes sense. Centered on the axis. That's fine. So we're sending a message. So we don't have any message here, right? So we're sending a message. Now we got, hey, listen. Now we should have sent it back to, oh, one sec. I have, my fault. I have said to the same user, it should not send any messages. Okay, once again. So sending a message, we're getting it. Now we don't have anything in here. Let's see if we receive a message, we get it. So every time, and now when we receive again, we shouldn't get anything. Tapping on it nothing happens because there is nothing in the pipe, I assume. And so, okay, I don't like it because it's not live, right? I have to do something to receive the message. I want it to be. So let's try once again the recursive. Because right now, what I'm wondering why I want to try out the recursive call again is because if I hit receive, it doesn't tell me something went wrong with the server, right? Previously it would do that when I hit receive here. Might have been the issue because I've done it so early. So then maybe, you know, after sending the message, the receive should be, this receive call should be executed. And so this has to be at the end, not in here, but here. But this is also the callback. So wait, no, it has to be in there. What am I doing? I think the error was just that I missed self. Sorry. My bad. Okay, so running and then so sending a message. Oh yeah, right. We didn't close previously. Again, so sending a message, we get the message here. Now we're using that message and we're sending it back. We did that now, and now I will hit receive. We get the message, but now it should kick off the recursive call of the receiving messages. Now when we send a message, we should receive it right away again, or not? Did something happen? So we get the message, but we're not receiving new ones. If we hit receive again, then we receive it again. Why though? Why? I wonder. Okay, this one, let's run it again too. Hey, Amin, what's up? Oh, do we have a question? How can I find freelance projects for Swift? So what I would recommend is go out on meetups. If you don't have meetups, go on Instagram, look into your like in your country, search for, like, you can search for people, for hashtags, for location, search for locations for businesses within your country, and then look at their profile. If there are businesses, see if they are doing something that would make sense to have an app as well for iOS, for example, and then see if they have an app. If so, and the app is good, leave them alone. But if you see, okay, they have an app but that's not good, you can propose your work. Or if they don't have an app but you see value in having an app and you know how it will actually give them more revenue or optimized processes, because that's what they care about, right? They don't care about giving you money, they care about making more money. So then when you look into their business and you see, okay, hey, you can increase your time efficiency or your money, your margin, whatnot, by having an app and then you provide facts why, and then you provide your work, or you offer your work. That's a way to get clients. Just a spontaneous thought on how to acquire clients, right? Aside of getting on the street, getting into meetups, events, and let everyone know, hey, by the way, I'm a freelancer. Here's my card, or let's connect on LinkedIn, and just reach out. Even on LinkedIn, you can reach out to people. What I also like to think about is when there are job positions in companies, that means those companies are looking for developers. If they don't find any developers, but they need them, why not just write them and say, hey, I'm a freelancer, do you need help? And then maybe they don't respond, and because they think, we want something, so we want to employ someone, right? But then after 2 weeks, you follow up and then say, hey, just a follow up, I'm able to help you with your projects and whatnot. And when they are still struggling to find someone to employ, like after 2 weeks, then they might start thinking of, okay, maybe temporarily we just get a freelancer in, right? Because you're still there and you're following up. And so that's also an approach to get projects. So there are so many ways. You just have to go out and do. Okay, so we are running, we're sending, we get the message, we're receiving, we get the message. Now when we send again, we don't get again. Why don't we? Oh, what is happening here? Nothing. Why? And then when we receive again, we do receive again. Why is this not? On success, it will call it once again, but then maybe we're not on failure because nothing went wrong. I wonder. So sending a message, receive. Now we are here. Let's get yes. It's exactly what I want. So then why? I'm reading into the documentation, but there's no overview. Why though? Why? I don't understand. Android or iOS, which is the best? Choose for the future. There is no best. Both. It's really like that. You can go for iOS, you can go for Android, you can even go for web apps. You can do JavaScript, HTML, whatnot. Hey, poor connection. Lives. Okay, so Livestream on Instagram ended because of poor connection, which is fine. I'm trying to code a Chatroom. Trying to code a Chatroom. And I'm right now thinking of, so what if I would say, okay, let's get this one after we send a message, we are receiving messages as well, just in case there are, I'm sorry. So we are receiving whenever we are sending, but we're not receiving when we're not sending, right? So we have a refresh button, which doesn't really make sense all that much, Because that behavior you can implement with a RESTful API too. Just with a webhook, right? Hey, is there something new? Just send me some new data. I want this to work. Oh, wait a second. It just works? How? So we're getting it? Interesting. One sec. So we don't need to receive again, just once. So we're getting it. Oh yeah, no, what am I saying? We're executing that one all the, like, whenever we're sending. So then, oh, I might know why. Whenever I'm sending, I'm not sending, I'm actually creating a WebSocket task. I'm creating a new connection and assigning it to the same user, and the previous connection might be Hey. Why am I doing that? So setup connection is something different than sending a message actually. So let's just do setup WebSocket like this. And this is actually send message. This is send message, and all of that goes into here. Because we have it global, we just create. So then we are setting up WebSockets, actually just one. Now we're setting up the WebSocket, we have the connection, we're sending, and then this should work. Okay, this was my own fault. I haven't tried it now, but I think this was the bug. In my head, it makes sense. Okay, so then down here, we should still have the recursive call after success to receive message. Self, of course. That means we're sending, we're receiving, we have the connection open. Let's just rerun the backend. Everything is fresh, so there is no connection whatsoever stored right now. Now we can run this as well. Now when I send a message, now the WebSocket should be connected. That's why we got a request on get Toki. Now when we send a message, we should get the message. Now when we receive a message, we are receiving messages. And now it should call recursively receive. So then whenever we're sending again, we should receive it. It works. Great. Okay, that's it. That's basically it. Everything additional now is just effort. This was the thing that I didn't know how to do. What I would do now is basically just the UI. I will just create a chat room. I will do a screen where you can type in username to say send a message. Always through that username. I can do another simulator and then have both people write each other, and then that's it. Cool, I like it. Let's see, we can delete that. The backend is Vapor, yes. So we also don't need that. Nope, not needed. I'm not calling onClose ever, but that's fine. I would like to know UI kit and core data. I have a tutorial on UI kit, sort of, right? If you look into my videos that I've created before Swift UI, I have quite a few tutorials on how to build certain things with UI kit. So it seems like we don't need any of that even afterwards or later on, which is fine. Okay. Let's also delete all of that. Not needed. Goodbye. Goodbye. Failed because create to do migration. Not needed. Database. Not needed. Nothing of that is actually needed. Not for this project. Just configuring the routes. That one route. I'm using it afterwards. So what I would test next is having two people in the same room and message each other without receiving their own message, right? Okay, so that means, okay, let's create a welcome view controller. Welcome VC. Import UI kit. This welcome VC. Overriding view.load. What is it having? It has a text field and a button to enter the chat, and also a title. Okay. Let's make it beautiful. No. So I don't remember which of both are the ones. Is it text field or is it? Let's just see. Okay. And then also button. Actually, yeah, just like set up title. No. Set up text field, and then also set up enter button. Actually, it's enter room, right? Let's just make it more verbose. Enter room or enter chat. Yeah. Super view did load, I think. That's just right now. It's just writing down. So we want to have it. Oh yeah. If you don't know what I'm doing right now, I can explain a little bit, but I don't want to explain too much about how constraints work and how I can position stuff on the screen, because that's not really the goal right here, to do a tutorial on that, right? But you will see the result, and I can then tell you the connection between the code and the view, what does what. So then save area. top anchor. Let's also give it a constant of 15. And then let's center it on the X. Doesn't matter. Okay, so we got it positioned. Now we want to say, this is talkie chat. Title label, let's say font is system font size of 32. Now we got that. I think by default should be black, which means now it's positioned in the center. It's quite huge. It's there, it's called. So what we can do is we can now say app delegate, your actual first view controller is the welcome view controller. Instead, we should see the title, but the background is black as well, so that's why we don't see anything. Always forgetting that. Let's put it to white. There we go. We have that. We can also actually let's do it this way. Hey Martin, do you use a DSL for auto layout on other projects like Snapkin? No, I always use I try to not use that many third-party libraries, which means basically none. The only third-party library I ever used so far until now is Realm, because I want to see whether I want to go for Realm or Core Data. I compared them. Still not sure about that because I prefer native and I prefer not being dependent on other third-party libraries, but also it just makes sense if it's too complex what you're about to implement. But for constraining stuff, I never had issues. I never hit a situation where I would say, okay, I don't know how to lay out this thing with native implementation, and maybe a third-party library would actually help me with that. So I've never hit that situation. So that's why I never really used a third-party library for that. And so, and then also my thinking is I want to stay fresh and, memorize the native implementation. So then in case the third-party library changes or something happens with it, I don't have to relearn the native stuff because I've forgotten about it, how it's working. I just know it. I miss daily coding sessions with Martin, to be honest. Hey, yeah, I can't stream. You're right. If I work on client projects, I can only stream so much default stuff, like in the beginning, or say if I, on purpose, say a client project requests Google Maps implementation or integration, right? That's pretty general. So I can also just, for the live stream, just create a single project, implement the Google Maps stuff, and then the live stream is over, and then I go and put the Google Maps into the actual app. Because an app is basically a combination of features, and the combination of features is then in the end the app that is confidential, but small parts of it, if they don't disclose what the app is about, I think are possible to be streamed. However, for example, image upload, right? This is quite common. This image upload could be a profile, it could be Instagram replica, it could be anything. So something like that I could stream as well while implementing it in a different project, naming it differently, just like creating a project for that single purpose, implementing it on a live stream, and then just copying the code over to the actual project. I see that working. Okay, so we got talkie chat. Now we want to set up the text field, which is basically, which is the username. Let's just also name it like that. Okay, we want to have it right underneath the Toki Talkie chat, so that means on the top should be constrained to the title label bottom with some distance, say 100. And then it should also be centered. I wonder what's the default for the width of it. And then view center X anchor. Top center X. So we got it positioned. We can also give it a placeholder username and see what it looks like. Oh, did I call it? Yeah, I call it. There we go. Toki. I wonder. So username layer border width 1, and then username layer border color CG. Ah, yeah, right. UI color, say black, CG color. I think it should be this one. Okay, so this is how it looks like. Okay, then let's just make it more beautiful. Give it a width of with anchor is constrained to a constant of 200. I'm always going with 235 for width and height for buttons of some sort. Maybe sometimes more than 35 in height. But I feel like, okay, because recommended for the best user experience is 50, because your thumb is just so big. Let's just go for 35 and see how it looks like. And then also, this is now how it looks like width and height, but I know I want the corners to be rounded. So let's see how this one looks like now. Oh, I'm never actually activating those constraints, so width and height. Thanks. So now we got this like that. Oh, we don't have any insets, so it's pretty Toki. We can also center it actually. Let's do we want to have it centered? Text alignment center. Then we don't have to care about the insets. Except you use a super long name, but I mean, come on. I think that should be fine. Maybe 100 is a little bit too much from the top. Let's go with 50 and then do the same stuff for the button to enter the room with that username. Yeah, let's just do that. I'm actually getting hungry. I could do pizza. Okay. All right, again, so go grab a dinner. I want to save money. That's why I bought myself pizza, and I bought some. How are they called in English? Super cheap things with still somewhat of protein. Okay, so we want to have the chat button to be right underneath the text field. So then the text field bottom, and let's give it 25, so it's closer, so we see the relation between both elements. Oh, constant. Top, and then center X. And then once it's centered, we want to have it the same width and height actually, and then also just copy and paste all of that style, because in the end it should look similar. But also the background of the color of the button is, let's pick something nice, black. The color of the text color of a button is by default white, I think. So then enter chat, button background color is black. We got that. The layer corner radius is going to be 4 as well. So it's now 4, it's black, the text should be white. Oh, and centered. Text align. Oh, it's centered by default, so we, okay. And then what should happen? At target, we should have a function for touch up inside. Once we tap it, so enter Chatroom. We don't have it, we won't implement a check whether the username already is in the chat room, so we have duplicate usernames. That's too much of for that. But that I mean, it's easy to implement. That's not the purpose of this project. The purpose is to implement a chat room, have it working. I will actually call this one action in the end, like this. Now, when we enter the room, what it actually does, okay, we can actually run it so we can see how it looks like now with the input a little bit further up. Okay, so the button text color is by default black. Set title. Oh, no, it's not black, it's white, but we don't have a title yet. That's the thing. Enter. For default, for normal. There we go. All right. If I tap it, nothing happens. Let's do chat button, set title color to blue once it's what is it, highlighted? Blue. Okay, this is a very ugly blue. Do we have something more? Oh, highlighted. Let's see how cyan looks like with black. No, it's ugly too. Could go with gray, light gray. Let's see. I feel like light gray is darker than gray. That works. That's the simple behavior you would expect. Okay. What's the backend? Firebase? It's Vapor. This is the backend. It's Swift using Vapor. Oh, we're again 40 minutes in. So that's 1.5 hours. And I have only 15 minutes left at max. So let's just do, we will quickly implement the transition between that screen into the chat room. Chat room is not implemented yet, but you have seen the other screen, right? Screen So far, we can edit this one as well to say Chatroom VC, and then rename it here as well. So that's that. And then entering means basically getting the value out of the text field for the username, and then the chat room would need it. So we will need the username, right? And once we are sending a message, then we are going to use that username. Anonymous, else anonymous. If it's nil, shouldn't be nil. We could actually say yeah, it should be nil. Like, it's definitely not nil because we will have at least an empty string. I think an empty string will be then. Oh, but we could take care of it. So if we are having if we don't enter a username, then in case of an empty string, then we will just say, okay, we don't set anything, and then we have nil, and then we are named anonymous. But we could also just handle it over there. We could do it like this, anonymous. So it's always like that, so we don't have to handle the nil state here. And we always assign, we only assign if it's more than one character, 0 characters. Anyway, so username is equal, we want the text, username text field, the text of it. Else, well, it's just, yeah, it's fine that way. Okay, so now we will have the chat room VC, and we say chat room. That's the chat room, and then we say, hey, chat room VC, by the way, your username, right, is going to be, we are assigning our username that we got from our text field to the property of that instance of the chat room, which is this here. And so we have access inside here to the username once we are sending messages, right? And then we are simply saying, okay, self present view controller, the chat room. Yes, true, no completion. Enter chat room. Okay, it can't be nil because the variable is not declared as optional. I'm thinking of how I want to handle it. I can just declare it optional, but I don't want to actually. I want this one, if this is nil, to be okay, let's put it like this. We have var string. No, one sec. If this is nil, then we want to have an empty string. No, one sec. If this is okay, so if this is not nil, which means there is a value inside of it, then we want to only then we want to set the username. Let's put it this way. So we are creating the chat room, we're getting the value out of the input field, if it is not nil, we're setting the username, else it just stays whatever it is, and it is by default anonymous. And so now what we can do is, let's see if we just enter. Okay, we see that. Let's just put for fun in the chat room. Let's put this up here in the chat room. 2 o'clock. Because I have other things to do as well. And then later this day there's a meetup at 18 o'clock 30. So at 18:30, that's what I'm doing this, why I'm doing this. And okay, so you know from iOS 13 on, if you present view controllers, you have this modal view controller. And if you don't want that, which I don't want, because you can just dismiss it this way. You can also probably prevent dismissing it. But what you can do before you present it, you could say, hey, Chatroom VC, I think, present, what was it? Presentation? Modal presentation style, full screen. Let's see. I'm sorry. Now it's full screen. Now we can't drag it down to dismiss it. We're in the chat room, right? So that's fine. What I want to do is I want in the chat room to see the username, right? Just for now. So you can see it actually works. Well, you see that it works because, let's say, if I say send message. Okay, sorry, bad response. I have rerun the server. Now, let's rerun this one too, because now it has to reconnect. Let's enter the chat room. We're sending something. Couldn't decode user. Why? Couldn't decode user. Because this one is Let's have a look. Give me text. Oh, we don't have anything in here. Why? Oh, it's an empty string because we just entered with an empty string, and then we don't have it. We're not having it in quotes, which is necessary. That's fine. Okay, so now we have empty. When we send something, whoops. Remove the breakpoint. Continue. Rerun. I will have to rerun this one. Now rerun this one. But also, I want to see if this is not nil. Only if this is not nil, and only if username is empty. Hey. Boolean value indicating whether the collection is empty, which it is. Only if it's not empty, then we want to set it, right? So then I want anonymous right now. I'm entering the chat room, I'm sending a message, and I'm receiving anonymous says, hey, listen, on the backend. I am also not, am I sending back to the same user? Why am I not receiving any messages? If I receive the message, hey listen, if I send it again, okay, that's working. Fine. That's how I want it to be. Is this a client project or a side project? This is just for the meetup. This is just a side project. You can call it side project. Okay, we got this. So this works, and now we can do another test where we're not anonymous, but we're actually a user that we chose ourselves. So let's say I am Kato. Enter. did it just correct it to Caro? So I sent a message as Kato and it says, hey, listen, perfect. All right. Next step is for me to just implement this view to be a chat room actually. And so, you know, populate the messages based on who you are. And that's also just effort again. Just the same as with the welcome screen. It's nothing, no challenge really. So guys, thanks for joining the stream. I'm going to stop it here because we are shortly before 2 p.m. The presentation of today, where I actually present the result of it and also how to implement it, will be recorded and uploaded here on this channel. So if you are interested in it, keep an eye open, and have a nice rest of the day. Let's see how I can end the stream awkwardly. Bye guys. It was nice to have you around, although I wasn't interacting as much, but I hope it was an interesting insight into how to implement the chat. It was an interesting insight for me because it's the first time I do that, right? Okay, bye.